Let's really talk about why progress is worth celebrating. In short, progress is the building block, and progress put together is all of the building blocks of resilience. And focusing on that progress helps kids develop confidence and a growth mindset. When it's all about the end product, then kids can sometimes give up along the way because they'll see something that seems too far-fetched and they'll say, I could never do that. But when we encourage them and we are praising them for their progress at whatever it is that they've set out to do, then they will see that they're making strides in that direction. A great thought about this is if you were to think about Olympic athletes, if someone looked at them when they were a child and they just said, well, you are not Michael Phelps swimming in the pool, so why even bother? Why even bother continuing to swim? Or if somebody looked at Michael Phelps when he was a child and said, hey, you know what? You're not as good as this Olympian. I am not well versed in Olympian names, but if I were just thinking about it, if they just said, hey, you are not as good as this Olympian, so you know what? Just give up. Stop, quit doing it, then that would be really tough. And it would also make them want to give up because they would see that this goal was too far-fetched. But if they can see that there's a little bit of progress every single day toward that goal, then they'll be motivated to keep going. When we wait until the end of them reaching their goal before we'll praise them for it, many times they don't reach the end to get that goal because things got too hard along the way and they didn't know that they were so close to achieving their goal, or at least making strides toward achieving it. Another way to think about it is if you were working really hard at something and this thing was going to take you a long time to finish, and somebody just looked at you and said, well, it's not done yet. So what are you even doing? Like, you need to fix this. Come on, hurry up. You need to go through. Come on. It's not done yet. Why aren't you doing it? You would not want to keep working for that person. Or if you had done a ton of work on a project, but it wasn't all the way finished yet, and you showed it at work, and they said, yeah, but it's not finished. So why even bother? This is stupid. Why are you bothering to show me the work that's unfinished? It would not make you want to keep working on that project. The same is true for kids. If they've set a goal, whether it's about their behaviors or whether it's about something that they want to achieve personally or just something that they're excited for, if we wait for them to get to the end, many times there's tough things that are happening along the way that give them great reason to give up because they haven't seen that anyone is acknowledging any of their progress. We have to recognize small wins because those small wins are what pave the way for big victories. It's not just about what is happening at the end. It's about every step they took along the way. An example of this is I have a client who is getting in very violent episodes with one of their parents. And it was happening frequently. Multiple times a week, this child was becoming fairly violent with one of their parents. And we had a safety plan and we made sure that everyone was going to be safe, but these things were happening. And then there was a week where there were no violent episodes, but the child was yelling and being disrespectful and not hurting anyone, but definitely not behaving in a way that this parent wanted them to behave. And that parent called me and they said, what am I supposed to do? They are still doing all this stuff and it is still so frustrating and I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to lose it. And I said, do you see how much progress they've made? There was another child I was working with who was a kindergartner. And in starting school, they became really dysregulated because they were so scared. And in their kindergarten class, they were throwing chairs and hitting people and biting people. So I went into the school and we came up with ways to keep everyone safe and we figured it out. But then they called me a few weeks later and they said, they are still being disruptive. And I said, oh, no, who did they hurt? And they said, oh, no, they're not hurting anybody, but now they're cussing and they're screaming. What do we do? And I said, you praise them for how hard they're working and you tell them how proud you are of them for not hurting anyone this time. If you don't do that, they'll give up. And the same is true with the kids in your life. If they have set a goal, or if they are working towards something, or if you are helping them work towards something, and you're waiting for the end before you're going to acknowledge how hard they're working, don't expect the end to ever come. Because along the way, something's going to happen that becomes too hard, and they'll say, you know what? No one has cared about any of this work that I've put in anyway, so I'm not going to keep going. But if every day you find something that they are doing great at and you just praise them for it, it could even be as simple as if a child is struggling to get their homework done and maybe they don't do a whole sheet, but one night they just decide to do one problem of one sheet. Can you praise them for that even though they didn't get the whole sheet done, even though they didn't turn in all the homework? Can you just look at them and you can say, my goodness, you got one done tonight. How that is so great. How in the world did you even do that? I am so proud of you. And then they'll smile and maybe they'll do a second one. Or maybe they won't. But they'll know that their effort was worth it and that they are getting closer to achieving their goal. When kids feel supported in their journey, they're more likely to keep trying. And we have to remember that perfection is not the goal. Learning and growth are. Support learning and growth with the children in your life, and you will see them keep learning and keep growing. If you refuse to acknowledge how hard they are working and you don't say anything about it, don't expect them to keep going, because nobody wants to work that hard for nothing. Praise the progress, not just perfection. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment with one way you've seen a child make progress recently.